O'Neill Outside Radio is brought to you by these fine sponsors. CVA muzzleloaders, it's just a better gun. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Works Power and Garden Tools. Toyota, let's go places. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Swaggerty Sausage, the finest premium pork sausage products. Tough Shed, great storage sheds and custom buildings. Arctic Ice, the most durable, versatile, and effective cooler packs for the outdoorsman. Terminator, the best food plot implements on Earth. And the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and historic sites.
From Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio from Three Falls Cabin in the North Georgia mountains, O'Neill Outside presents CVA Radio. For anything in the outdoors, this is your source. Listen in and call the show with your comments or questions. And now, here's O'Neill.
Well, I have a question I'd like to ask you today, and I appreciate your response. Fishing is great. People are not working, people are on leave, and all that. I don't need to explain that. So the lakes are all full, the streams are full, people are fishing like mad, gun ownership, gun purchases, we're involved in the outdoors. And it couldn't be better. It's safe, it's memorable, and you get to spend it with your family. But I have a question for you. First of all, 800-972-8255 in Atlanta. And outside is 972-8255 nationally. Atlanta is 404-872-0750. Okay, here's my question. All right, you're a bass fisherman. You're a trout fisherman. You're enthusiastic, and you fish all year long. I'd be interested, what would be your next great target? Have you ever caught tarpon? Have you gone for for king mackerel off the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas? What about a trip to Venezuela and peacock bass? What would you like to catch? Marlin? To Australia? I'd like to know what you would like to do. A great trip. Salmon in Alaska? I'd like to know what you're thinking about for your future fishing trips. It's marvelous that we get to do those things, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now, my constant reminder about boating safety throughout this summer and fall. Ready? Put your cell phone in the glove compartment or don't take it at all. You can't operate a cell phone in a boat at the same time. You can't. But more important than anything else, to me, boat gas and alcohol do not mix. They don't go together. They never have. If you would care to watch some likely results of the mixing of alcohol and boat gas, whether it's an outboard, inboard, a houseboat, whatever the case might be, go to visit the internet from time to time and look at I think it's boating failures. And there's a bunch of knuckleheads out there that drive boats, and you have to be on the lookout for them. Here's a little tip about that I discovered some time ago, and that is when you're going under a bridge in a confined area, something of that nature, and you get two boats that are going, and you don't know, you should turn right. Everybody should turn right. However, the fellow in front of you may not know that. Best thing for you to do, if you don't know what to do, which way am I going to turn? Which way is he going to turn? What's about to happen? This is not going to be good. Throttle back. Stop. Cease the forward motion of your boat. Bass boat, cruiser, ski boat, no matter what. Throttle back. Slow down. Stop. That's the best way. I know I have had and know of friends from years ago in the bass tournament business that failed to do that. It was a few years ago. I had a couple of friends that got killed because they did, two boats just ran head on into each other. They kept turning and turning and turning and turning without throttling back, and they finally got killed. So, boat gas don't mix. Put the phone in the glove compartment. Everybody wear your life preserver, your personal flotation device, and be careful on the water. Okay, you can die. 16 after the hour, 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. I hope you're out this weekend enjoying. Weather's great. This hurricane's on the way, but that'll be a few days before it gets to Florida. It's summertime. Make the best use of it. And here's something I can recommend for you to do. Two things. Number one, I have a book to recommend to you. A book about the 1936 Olympics and Summer Olympics. And it's about the rowing crew, a bunch of college athletes that won the gold medal in rowing. They beat the Germans in Germany, and it's called The Boys in the Boat. And it tells the story of all these young men and the dedication they had to display and how they won the gold medal. It's wonderful. The second thing is, at 17 after the hour, is it's time for you to plan your deer hunt. Yeah, putting up a stand 2 weeks, being in the woods, building a stand, putting up a tree stand, building a blind, whatever the case might be, that's not something that happens 2 weeks before the season begins. No, it begins a month before the season begins. A white-tailed deer is a slick critter. He doesn't need to be disturbed. If a white-tailed deer has the same route, if he has the same feeding areas, he will stick to that unless you disturb him or her. The deer season's coming up. It'll be here before you know it. And we get to talk about the white-tailed deer over and over and over and over again. And it's the same conversation as last year. I might ask you, wherever you're listening this morning, whether you're driving a truck across Alabama or whether or not you're sitting at home having a cup of coffee listening to the program, I have questions for you. Ready? When is the rut for the property where you hunt? Answer, same time as last year. Really? Yes, it is. It's the same time as last year. It's based on the declining number of hours of daylight. It's called the photo period, or the photo effect. As the declining number of hours of daylight take place, the doe goes into estrus, the buck's testosterone level climbs, and he's ready for the rut. And therefore, it's always the same time. O'Neill's talking too much this morning. 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. Love to talk to you instead of me rattling on. Really. I do have a recommendation, if you don't mind. O'Neill Outside with Travis Johnson. Television is on the VOD networks, Video On Demand networks, all over the country. It's on Fox Sports Southeast, Fox Sports Sun, Fox Sports Phoenix, the Hunt Channel, Outdoor Action, Carbon TV, Waypoint TV. Oh my goodness, it goes on and on and on. YouTube TV, it goes, but you can watch O'Neill Outside. You've probably likely seen the show before, probably. But give it a try. If you watch the show, if you watch O'Neill Outside with Travis Johnson, and when we get back from this break, because I get so many questions from so many people about what Travis is doing these days, we will talk about that after we come back. But those questions about deer hunting, they're the same as last year. It's the same thing. The deer doesn't change. But you can make a better hunt. And this year, what do you say? Why not we take maybe a wounded veteran, maybe your grandson, granddaughter, another friend in the neighborhood that's never been deer hunting before. Maybe we should give that a try. Recruit a next generation of deer hunter. I know that in my own case, I hunt every year, but I haven't shot a white-tailed deer in 5 or 6 years. You don't have to pull the trigger. When you pull the trigger, the hunt's over. We'll be back. You're listening to CVA Radio, the #1 live outdoor-based radio talk show in the continental United States. Whew, that's kind of scary, isn't it? 25 after the hour. Before we get to anything else, let's go ahead and let's chat with Don. Don calls every week. We enjoy that, and Don is calling from
Ocean Isle, North Carolina.
You're the greatest, man. What's going on over there for you? How's fishing?
It's pretty good. We got a visitor coming this week. I don't know how close he's going to be, whether he's going to be inshore or offshore, but we've been through 25 or 30 of those things, and it's when you're in them, it ain't a whole lot of fun, but after it's over, you're glad it's gone. So.
That's right. Let me ask you a question. Since you're there on the coast, you're an outdoorsman, you're a fisherman, and you've got this hurricane on the way, just curious, on a given week, over the next week, how many times will you check the weather about that storm?
Well, O'Neill, I got a website that it's got 40 or 50 weather pages on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll look at that thing in the early stages 2 or 3 times a day to see what the movement is. But then after I see what the direction is, and I very seldom look at it. And just,
I see.
But I never listen to the TV because you never get the accurate information there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
I
interesting.
know that's not good to say, but that's in actuality, that's what happened.
Okay. All right. Other than the storm that's headed your way, what's biting?
Well, of course, you find the kings this year, and they're offshore. But for the most part, what we do is we bottom fish. Mm-hmm. The first 5 or 6 years I was over here, we kingfish, and that's sort of like tuna fishing. It's half hour boredom and then 2 minutes of panic, So
right.
But then when we started bottom fishing, we had about 6 or 7 of us at bottom fish, and we had a pilot, ex-pilot, from Piedmont Airlines, so he had to be old. And
right.
we bottom fish, and the great thing about bottom fishing is there must be 30 or 40 species of fish on the bottom, and you never know what you're going to catch. Mm-hmm. And it's always a surprise for the most part when they come up to see what's on the line. But the good part about that is they're all edible, So.
Oh, yes.
And there's some down there that's very dangerous, and there's some that's very, very dangerous, and you have to be sort of knowledgeable about what's down there so you don't get into trouble.
Sure.
I got one request for you.
Go ahead.
You've had 2 or 3 books out. One was a cookbook, and then we started with that, and then we went to 2 other. But you have a great raft of knowledge about the outdoors, from fishing to hunting to offshore to Alaska, and that information needs to be in a book so it can be passed on.
Well, thank you.
I know. I think Isaac Newton wrote the book first book about that in the 1600s,
yes.
And I think we're due again because it's changed so much, and you have such great knowledge. That information has to be for sure given to the generations coming along.
Well, you're very kind. As a matter of fact, for the television audience, I'm going to hold up the book, the first book that Don's referring to. Of course, I had a cookbook early many years ago. This one is called O'Neill Outside: 65 Years in the Outdoors, People and Places Along the Way, and that was more, I guess, about the people and the places. My second book is on its way. I'm just getting lazy, Don, but thank you for mentioning it. It's more of a how-to.
Oh, I'm looking for that.
It's more of a how-to book. What to do in certain situations, what to expect if the wind's out of the east instead of the west, or whatever the case might be. So, but thank you for mentioning it, and thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate that.
I'm really glad to see that coming along, and I didn't know that was in the works, but I'm really glad to see that. That makes my heart.
One of the things that we're doing now and have been for a little while, of course, at my website at o'neilloutside.com, you can purchase it right off the website, and by doing that, then I will sign and dedicate the book, which makes it, doesn't change the book anything. It's just got my name in it. But going to the website, a lot of people do that. Almost every day, somebody will order a book off the website. So, but I appreciate that encouragement, and I've needed some to finish up. I'm about 80% there.
Wow. Well, the last book, I've got both copies of that, the autographed copies, and I'm going to give them to Ross and Duncan and
good.
Oconee when we make our annual trip to the Duncan's house over there. So, but anyway, the fishing over here is great. We have to run about 65 miles offshore to get into some deep water to get into good bottom fish. But we catch grouper and snapper and some of the things that we catch is remoras.
Oh,
that's a weird fish. That's the one that attaches to a shark, and and the thing about him, if he puts that sucker on something that you got on board, it's hard to get him loose.
I'll bet so. Well,
and
let
you
me
catch
ask
a remora eel, if you bring him out of the water, he wraps up your line. So you've got to leave him in the water to take the hook out. You sure don't want him on board with all the teeth that he's got. So.
All right, I asked this question when the show started, and I'll ask you. Now, you're an experienced inshore and offshore angler, okay? Out of salmon fishing, the Great Barrier Reef, Costa Rica, all these exotic locations, or these giant fish that are available to us. If you had a trip to take, what would it be?
O'Neill, based on what I've done, every day offshore is so great. You never know what you're going to catch, and everything you catch is edible. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go far to get there, and you get back, and it's when you get older and long in the tooth, you want things that's easier. So we enjoy that so much that I wouldn't go anywhere else but 65 or 70 miles offshore.
Good for you. That's a good answer.
Sometimes we go to the Gulf Stream and get into the tuna, and that's a lot of fun. But there again, you're into the 2 hours of boredom and 30 minutes of panic when you get a tuna on.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever caught one of those big bluefins?
Never have. No, we go out primarily whenever the yellowfin are out there in the 72-degree water in the early spring. And the bluefins are, I've had some of the people that I fish with rigged for those things, but those things will tear up some tackle, and if you don't have the right tackle, then, you've wasted a lot of time and money.
I wouldn't. I've caught some big yellowfin, and I've caught some big amberjacks and things like that, and I don't want to catch one of those. I don't want to have to quit, after 3 hours. I think the longest fight I ever had was probably a shark. Yeah, it was a shark, and that was about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And
Ross, he's fished everywhere in the world, including Alaska and what else. But I had him over here, and we got about a 45-pound cobia on.
Oh boy!
and sometimes you have to be knowledgeable what you're doing, because these things will go on the bottom and lay there, and it's unless you've got some good tackle, you can't get him up. But for the most part, all they want to do is fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that thing on for 45 minutes, and we did boat it, and we brought it in, and then that fish is totally different taste and than any other fish that you catch out there.
Mm-hmm. Not trying to top the story, but I'll tell you one. It didn't apply to me. It's a story I read about one time years ago in Marlin magazine. And it had a photo of a heavy-set guy, and he's in a fighting chair. And it's a good photo, and he's got the biggest reel that you can get, big rod, and it's bent over. And I just remember the caption on the photo, and it says, here is John Smith in the 36th hour of his fight. And then the rod broke. The story goes, the rod broke. They figure it was a tiger.
Wow.
A big tiger. So. Well,
there's one thing you learn, and when you're out there doing bottom fishing, everything out there has something that'll eat it. So when you, I guess tiger's probably at the top of the chain. So.
Mm-hmm. Sure enough.
But I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed fishing off the coast of North Carolina, and one year we had 5 hurricanes in one year, and we had to fish in between those. And sometimes after those, you get out there and you're into the big swells. We had some 12 and 14-foot swells, but the good thing was they were 15, 20 seconds apart, so it was like riding a roller coaster.
You could put up with those.
Yeah.
Don, have a great weekend, pal. I appreciate you calling. It's always a treat to talk with you. Good luck through the storm.
Thank you, sir, and say hello to Gail. Love you both.
I will do it. I'll see you soon, pal.
Thank you, sir.
All right, there we go. Let's get that. There you are. All right, 404-872-0750-800, 972-8255. When we return, it'll be time for the radio prize package. You put your brain in gear, and you can win quite a little box of prizes that we'll put together from our cooperative sponsors. They are all cooperative, some more than others. 404-872-0750-800, 972-8255. This is O'Neill. Radio prize package when we return. We'll get to the radio prize package in a moment. We've got some calls we want to get to first. We appreciate people taking the time to call. First of all, let's chat with John. He's calling from New York. Are you chasing down any skunks today, John?
They all left.
Okay.
She had 4 young ones, and one by one she'd give them the boot, and then she took off too.
Oh, okay.
Greetings from Catskill Mountains, yeah. And it's a relief for the woodchucks, because them skunks were going down the woodchuck holes, and the woodchucks didn't know which hole to go down in that night. Didn't know if there was a skunk down there or not. O'Neill, I got to tell you, before the show started, I was sitting out there drinking coffee and looking up at the stars and seeing some shooting stars and such.
Oh, you did?
I knew it was getting time for your show. And then you could hear the owls hooting just in the pre-dawn always, the barred owl. And
yes.
the people say you could hear a barred owl interpret it as who cooks for you, who cooks for you.
Yes.
I got a new spin on that. It's
okay.
Turn on O'Neill. Turn on O'Neill.
Oh.
It was time for your show.
Time for the show.
So there, that's right.
That's good. Well, I appreciate that. That
Yep.
is
Now,
that's an awfully inviting sound, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah. Who cooks?
Now, a few weeks back, O'Neill, you had a great tip about giving kids a whistle.
Yes.
Keeping their pockets in case they get lost, and that's a great tip.
Well, thank you.
A follow-up is, especially your folks on the boat, how to use a signal mirror to signal
good idea.
An airplane. How do you know the reflection is going to the plane, right?
Yes.
Now, what you do is you hold the mirror by your sight eye. You extend out your arm and make like a victory sign or a peace sign for people, and you reflect the sunlight towards the victory sign of your fingers, and you line that right up with the airplane, like a gun sight.
Oh, that's something
And
I didn't know.
that yeah, it's used for accuracy. It lines it right up.
How about that? That's good to know. It's a great idea to have a mirror like that for that reflection. That's a good idea, John.
Yeah, it doesn't take much of a mirror either to get any
just
sort of reflection.
Just a little tiny handheld is good enough, isn't it?
That's all it is. Hey, just to restore some people's faith in humanity, there still is some farms up here that have an honor system at their farm stands. They have a little cash box and just
That's good.
take what you want and drop in the money.
That's good.
I figured I'd throw that out.
I know of one here in Atlanta that I heard about just the other day. If they're not there, just put the money in the cigar box.
I've done that. Yeah, it's a great thing.
You bet. John, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well, just a little thing about squirrels.
Okay.
Next month is starting the squirrel season. Their sense of smell is quite amazing. I've actually, during the winter, stuck a tape measure down through the snow, 2 feet down through the snow where they dug and come up with an acorn.
Oh,
they knew the acorn was down there. Yep. Their sense of smell is pretty good. They got to have it. Otherwise, they would starve if they didn't.
Certainly, yeah. And they've adapted to be able to do that. Hey, this is a good call, John. Very well done. I appreciate it. I always enjoy seeing your name come up on the screen. You have a great weekend, pal.
You too.
You bet.
Right.
See you later. Here's our old buddy Milton Crabapple. Good morning, Milton. What do you say?
O'Neill.
Yes, sir.
Milton Crabapple.
Yes, sir.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. How about you, sir?
I'm doing good. I had a couple of things I wanted to go over with you.
Okay.
You know, you was talking about getting ready for deer season.
Yes.
Now, I always tell folks this is the time to be out there, you know, because you want to get everything done so you can leave that place alone for a few weeks at least.
Correct.
But now, I hear you talking about how to set up for turkeys a lot, but now let's suppose that you want to build yourself a new deer stand somewhere, or set up a new deer stand somewhere, or maybe you got a new piece of property, or maybe you're going to hunt in an area you ain't hunted in, or you're just going to move your stand location or whatever. What do you think's the number one when you're looking at trails and all kinds of things, and view and everything, trees, and you're trying to figure out where to put your stand up? You know what's the most important thing you need to consider before you start building that deer stand?
What's that?
The prevailing winds. Because if you pick a good place and there's trails and you set up your stand, but then you realize every time you go there, the winds are going the wrong way. Lots of folks don't think about that when they first pick a location for a deer stand.
Good idea. And here,
but you need to figure out which way the wind's always blowing from most of the time.
Well, and I would suppose it would be safe to say that in this part, deer hunting in Tennessee, Alabama, the Carolinas, most of the time the wind comes from the northwest, doesn't it?
Well, I believe it does, but you know, if you get down in some hollers and valleys and places like that, it'll change directions on you.
Certainly.
It'll do it now. Folks, but anyhow, I just wanted to pass that little tidbit along because a lot of folks don't really think about that when they first scouting the place out.
That's a good one. Yes, indeed.
And you was talking about earlier, if I got time for one more thing.
Sure.
You was talking about boat safety. Did I ever tell you about the time my brother-in-law tried to kill me in a boat?
No.
You know, well, I'll tell you, it was something. They was having a birthday party up at Lake Lanier for one of my nephews, and one of my brother-in-law had this new ski boat he'd bought, one of them fast-looking things.
Right.
And he was pulling people around water skiing, and they asked me, finally, said, Milton, you want to try water skiing? I said, well, I ain't never tried it before. He said, well, come on out here and try water skiing. He said, you'd probably be good at it. And I said, well, I'll give it a try. So He said, "You can swim, can't you?" I said, "Well, I can swim like Johnny Weissmiller." "Yes, sir."
Okay.
So they got me out there in that boat, and they put them skis on me, and he said, "You ready?" I said, "I reckon so." Well, dude hollered out, "Let her go." Well, he took off down that lake with me. Dude said, "You don't have to do nothing when you ski. Just hold on to this bar, this rope, and don't pull on it or nothing." He said, "Let the boat do all the work." He said, "Just hang on is all you got to do." So I did. He took off down through that lake with me, and I ain't never been on such a wild ride in my life. I kept hollering for him to slow down. He wouldn't slow down, and he headed straight for 6 Mile Bridge.
Oh, boy.
Well, I could tell we was going under that bridge, and he headed straight for one of them pilings, and he dodged it at the last minute, and me coming toward that piling, and I missed that piling by about 6 inches.
Oh.
I was hollering. He got on the other side and made a big circle, a tight circle, and I got around. I was going faster than the boat was.
Sure.
I got plumb out in front of the boat. I was going so fast. He went right back through that bridge again. I missed another one of them pilings. I was hollering, and then he turned and went over there where there's a bunch of trees and stumps sticking up and went right through the middle of them. I was dodging them things. We got back to the dock where we started from. I let go of that rope, and I'll tell you something. I ain't never been on such a ride. I was hurting from top to bottom. It was awful.
I'll bet.
Yes, sir. Dude said it wouldn't have been so bad if I could have ever got up. But anyhow, it was awful. Worst ride I ever been on.
Yeah, I figured there was a payoff in there. Yeah. Yeah, if you would have been in more control if you'd ever gotten up on the skis, huh?
I must have swallowed a gallon of water. Well, anyhow, I just wanted to pass that story along to you since you was talking about boat safety.
Yes, indeed. That's a
Don't
good
ever
story.
get in a boat with somebody that's got it out for you.
That's a good story, and I appreciate that. That's a good tip on the
Stop
deer
by the
hunting.
jail if you're ever down this way.
That's a good tip on the deer hunting, and it's time to get started. I appreciate you calling, Milton.
Much obliged.
You bet. I'll see you soon, pal, I hope. There you go. Now let's talk to John. Before we get to the next break, I'll get to the radio package in a moment. John is calling from Lilburn. Good morning, John. You're on the air.
Good morning. How you doing?
Lovely.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're on the air, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. I took your advice about not being too busy taking kids fishing.
Good.
My grandkids came down. I haven't seen them in over a year, and I took them for the first time. And I hate to say one of them's 10 and the other's 8, and I hadn't been yet because I hadn't had my hands on them much. Due to the law, you know how that goes with divorces and such. But I got them down here, and we took them fishing last weekend, and we got some catfish, and went over to a little brim pond, and they had the time of their life.
Wonderful.
But just getting out there with them was worth more than any fish we caught.
You bet.
Just showing them the outdoors and how to bait a hook and little things like that. It was just a thrill in it, and I highly recommend it if you got a son or daughter or granddaughter or whatever. Take them. Their eyes light up, and they just can't believe that they can actually pull something out of the water that's alive.
They will remember that the rest of their lives. They will always thank you for that trip that you took them on.
And I aim to take them again.
Good for
I'm
you.
really looking forward. Second question, real quick. I want to get in some crappie fishing this fall. And stay within the state of Georgia. I know there's plenty of good fishing. Anything particularly you recommend as far as one lake over another, or
what happens to the crappie fishing? Okay, let me tell you what happens to the crappie fishing in the fall. As soon as the water temperature gets to be 55 degrees, fish the boat docks or the submerged trees. Get permission, of course, and go to the big marina docks. And they'll be under the marina docks by the millions. And you can stand right on a marina dock and catch a bucket full every day.
That sounds good to me.
It is. It's easy.
Also, we tried that. we tried that dog food in the jar thing. That worked like a charm. It really worked.
Oh, good. Matter of fact, we'll talk about
the mayonnaise jar.
We'll try and talk about that again. He's talking about putting dog food in a burlap bag and tying it to the dock. Well, I'm glad that worked for you. I surely am.
Yeah, we actually just put it in a little mayonnaise jar and poked holes in the top, and it worked just as well.
You bet.
It was just a little pond, so it brought them in.
You bet. All right, I got to go, pal.
I do think that tip, and we sure enjoy it.
I got to go right now, so listen, be safe, have a great weekend, and take the kids fishing again. What do you say? Okay, here's the radio prize package. I think I've got time. The radio prize package, Bojangles, Swaggerty's, Real Tree, Big Green Egg Stuff, Arctic Ice Pack, Angler Magazine, State Parks, Hydro Shot Glass, True Turn Tackle Pack. And here's the question. First correct caller to the numbers that I always give you. The question is, if you see O'Neill at the boat ramp or at a tackle store or something like that, what brand of truck will I be driving? This is O'Neill. I'll be back. Welcome back. The radio prize package is bouncing around out there. I think we have an answer already. Before I get to that and other calls, I promised I would tell you, most of you remember that my grandson, Travis, did television shows with me for a long, long time. And the radio program, he's quite an outdoorsman. And so I got a lot of questions about Travis. What's he doing? Where is he? Is he on television with you now? And so on. Well, he is still on television with our rerunning footage, of course, in the shows that he did. But Travis lives now in Oklahoma, in a little town called Sweetwater, Oklahoma, which is just right on the Oklahoma-Texas Panhandle line, way up there in the northern Panhandle in Oklahoma. You can throw a rock over from his home. He lives alone. I think his nearest neighbor is 4 miles. And Travis is now a cattleman. He's purchased property, and he manages his own cattle, I guess you would say cows or cattle, and manages his own and manages about another 3,000 acres of cattle property. And so he's happy as can be. Wears a cowboy hat. He's got two horses, I think, and a dog, and he's happy as can be. And Travis lives in Sweetwater, Oklahoma, and I think he's dug in. You know what I mean? I think he's dug in. Okay, I think we're probably gathering up the question for. Well, let's talk to. Here's our winner. And let's talk to Alice calling from Indiana. Alice, good morning. This is O'Neill Outside. Welcome.
Good morning to you.
Well, thank you for calling. Do you know the answer to the question?
Yes, a Toyota truck.
How would you know that, Alice?
Because I listen to you almost every Saturday morning.
I certainly recognize your voice, and I appreciate that. Yes, indeed. Toyota has been a partner of mine for, I think, 14 or 15 years, and I've enjoyed the relationship. So now you've got a radio prize package headed your way, so that's nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do appreciate it.
It's several things you can use. I recommend the shot glass.
We got to be out, O'Neill.
Oh, my goodness, I'm out of here. Hey, I'm out of time, Alice, and we will see you soon. Glad you called.
O'Neill Outside Radio is brought to you by these fine sponsors. CVA muzzleloaders, it's just a better gun. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Works Power and Garden Tools. Toyota, let's go places. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Swaggerty's Sausage, the finest premium pork sausage products. Tough Shed, great storage sheds and custom buildings. Arctic Ice, the most durable, versatile, and effective cooler packs for the outdoorsman. Terminator, the best food plot implements on Earth. and the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and historic sites.
From Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio from Three Falls Cabin in the North Georgia Mountains, O'Neill Outside presents CVA Radio. For anything in the outdoors, this is your source. Listen in and call the show with your comments or questions. And now, here's O'Neill.
Welcome back into the second hour of O'Neill Outside and CVA Radio. Boys and girls, we're still talking outdoors for the next hour. I have a lot of things to handle. Black's already on the line and other calls, but I'm obligated, and it's my pleasure to tell you that this program is brought to you by, not surprisingly, CVA and Critter and Striplings and Big Green Egg and Swaggerty's. A lot of cooperative people that are outdoor enthusiasts. So we've got another hour of outdoors headed your way. It's my pleasure to invite you to watch O'Neill Outside. That's the television show. It's actually O'Neill Outside with Travis Johnson. And you can see that on Fox Sports Southeast, Fox Sports Florida, Fox Sports Phoenix, or in Arizona. That's where Phoenix is. And the Hunt Channel, Outdoor Action, Gone TV, Carbon TV, Waypoint TV, Pursuit Up, and gosh, it's just everywhere. So give it a look-see. Maybe you'll have a chance to learn something or be reminded of something about the outdoors. It's these are the fall shows are beginning. And in that connection, I want to tell you that it's time for you to start deer hunting. I know the season hasn't opened yet. Get your deer hunting stands, the lanes cut, food plots in, the deer hunt to make it better, if that's what you want, begins now. Whether it's the Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama, all across the country, all up in the Midwest with those great big bucks. It's time to start now. You'll have a more successful season. And what is a successful season? You see a lot of deer. You don't have to kill a lot of deer, but you see a lot of deer and their interaction. And you know that your methods are working. It is the #1 fur-bearing hunted animal in North America, the white-tailed deer, and we'll talk more about that when we get back. Black's on the line. We'll get to him when we return. I promise. Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. You're listening to the #1 live outdoor-based radio talk show in the country, and we welcome your participation. The telephone numbers are in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area, which is the center of our broadcast. It's 404-872-0750. Outside the Atlanta area code is 800-972-8255, and that's the Sports Map Radio Network. 500 stations. My goodness, isn't that scary? 500 Sports Map stations across the country, and we invite your participation in the program. One of the questions I asked before I get to the calls, in the first hour I asked about if you're a fisherman, you're a hunter, where would you like to where would you like to go? What would you like to catch fishing that you had never have caught before? Marlin, tarpon, tuna, salmon in Alaska. I'd like to know where you would like to go if you could. Okay, I know that I would have several adventures left that I would like to do, and I'm very fortunate to have done a lot of fishing and hunting because of the television show over the years. The television show now is 40 years old. You imagine that? I must have started it when I was about 6. Right now, let's talk to Black. He's been holding on for quite a while. Good morning, my good friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, O'Neill. I found the sausage.
Yeah.
I finally found some, boy. And like you say, it is outstanding.
Yes, it is. Swaggerty sausage.
Yeah, man. the book.
Okay.
I got the book, 65 years in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
But I had asked 2 or 3 times, I guess. I want the other book, and if you could and would send the book, how to, I guess. You hadn't completed the last book, right?
Correct. I will in the next couple of 3 months, I guess. Something
Okay,
like that.
good.
Yeah.
So if you would, O'Neill, send me the book is called How To, I think you said.
Okay. Well, I don't. It's the next book is more about how to, where
Okay,
to,
I'm
and
sorry.
so on. I don't know what the title's going to be. It just might be just read what this goofy guy's saying. I don't know what it's going to be.
So, but you do have another book, though, right?
Yes, it's on the way. I'm not done yet.
But I'm talking about before this the 65th year.
Well, yes, I have a cookbook.
Yeah, could you send me that?
Sure, I can. We have your
Listen,
address. I'll send you one. It's called what did we call that? The Wild Game and Fish Dish Cookbook, something of that nature.
Yeah, and send me 2 hats.
Okay.
And I'll be more than glad to pay you.
Okay.
And this picture of you reminds me of my first cousin.
Yeah.
Y'all look just alike.
No kidding.
And listen to this.
Okay.
I don't know if I told you, I turned 81 on the 19th of June.
Uh-huh.
I had 23 years military, and you won't believe this. I just received my Purple Heart 55 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
Just got it.
Congratulations, sir. I appreciate
So,
your
O'Neill, I
service.
really enjoy the program. God bless you, and have a great weekend. Send me the book.
I'll do that, pal.
I love your program, and
You
I'm
bet.
going to stay with you as long as I live.
Well, I appreciate that, and it always makes me smile when I look over at my computer and I see that you're waiting to chat with me on the phone. I always am.
God bless you, O'Neill, and you and Gail, tell Gail hello, and y'all have a great weekend.
You
and
too.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. Just keep up the good work.
Thanks, pal. I'll
God
see
bless
you.
you.
I'll see you soon. Thank you for your service. Now let's talk. Let's talk to who's coming up here. Just a minute, everybody. Hold on. Let's talk to Mac. Mac's calling about Lake Lanier and fishing, and we always learn something from Mac. Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, O'Neill. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. Are you fishing today?
Not today. Just got back and had me a little vacation. Got back in town late last night. We're going back tomorrow.
Okay, good for you.
But
okay,
it was good. I had a little time there with the kids before we go back to school, and don't get to see them much anymore. So we goofed off a couple of days. But
good for you.
For those that are going, I got a great report. Fishing's been. Lanier's probably fishing as well as it's going to fish. I mean, the numbers have been good. We're seeing some really nice sized fish. Now I'm talking about the stripers. The bass fishing's good too. A lot of times this time of year, people get scared. It's hot. It's hot out there. I won't make any bones about that. It's been steamy, but the bite's good. The fish get so deep they don't care about the heat.
No.
And you can use that to your advantage. The trolling bite is off the chain. Live bait fishing's good. Power reeling's good. And if you're a bass guy and you just want to catch fish and have fun, a drop shot, 25-foot, 30-foot brush pile, and you're going to catch fish. Maybe not a lot of big spots, but the numbers are good, and they're plenty big enough. They're nice keepers, and you can just really have a good time. So all in all, the tip patterns are exactly what you would expect this time of year. Fish are doing rarely what they're supposed to do. They usually don't follow that protocol like we like them to, but they are in the places and the patterns that you would expect, and fishing is good. So I urge everybody to get out there and go.
Well, I wanted to point out, I had an earlier call about it. It was from Milton about the wind direction. The wind direction and the time of day for the shadow that your boat makes has a great deal to do with catching fish, does it not?
Yeah, even when they're deep, I'm sure they're cognizant of your boat being there. I don't think, especially in a lake like Lanier, in most of the lakes in the southeast tend to be clear lakes. So when you talk about the silhouette from a 20 or 22 or 25-foot boat, yeah, plus the noise you generate, I think that draws attention to you. Yes, I'm sure he's there and aware of that shadow. Those are the kind of little things that are easy to overlook.
To me, these tips from you and from other people that we talk to, it's not the tip may catch you 4 instead of 2. It's not going to catch you 50 instead of 1.
You're right. It's not a magic bullet that makes things. It puts you in nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do those little things, it will create consistency, and it gets you. Sometimes an extra 2 bites is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, on a good day, it can be a big deal. And, I agree with you 100%. It's those little things, tiny things that are easy to overlook that gets the extra bite or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it consistently and do enough of that type of thing, then it does generate some extra bites. That's the difference between a good day and a great day, or maybe a good day and a bad day. So, I agree with you 100%. I think it's a really good point.
You bet. All right, my good friend, I'm glad you called. We always learn something and confirm something when you call. My regards to your family, and I hope to hear from you next week.
As far as I know, I'll be there for whatever. How many stations do you say you're on now?
500.
500?
Yeah. Isn't that something?
I'm nervous. I'm
Me
going to
too.
be nervous next week.
Me
That's
too. I got to pay more attention. I got to pay more attention to the clock. I get started talking about fishing. I can't stop. All right, my good friend. I'll see you soon.
Completely so. Everybody have fun. Be safe.
You bet. See you later, pal. There you go. 21 after the hour. I got to take a break here in a moment. So Richard and Sutton, you guys hold on for a moment. It's an opportunity, however, for the next few seconds for me to remind you of something. Okay? You go to the ramp. You put your boat in. Be sure when you leave the ramp that day, you pick up the trash. You leave the ramp area in better condition than when you arrived. I don't care if you catch 2 or 200. We're all managing our fishery, and that's part of it. It's 21 and a half after the hour. I'll be back. You're listening to CVA Radio. It's August the 1st, 2020, and we welcome your calls and your participation in the program. First of all, he's been holding on for quite a while. We'll get to him right now. It's always an interesting call from Richard from West Virginia. Good morning, Richard.
Well, see how interesting this call is going to be. I'll tell you one thing. I'd like to answer your question about, I think the question was, what kind of fish do you want to catch? Was that
yes, please.
A great white shark.
Oh, my goodness.
Is there such a thing?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Those things weigh like 200 or 300 pounds, don't they?
Up to about 2,500.
Oh, they're that big?
Yes.
Whoa. So I guess that would be a goal right there, get on a charter boat and go out and get yourself a great white.
Yeah, there are places that you can go. Most of them are in the Arctic regions. It's by and large a very cold water species. But that's
a great white is?
Yes, but that's a very ambitious ambitious target. But by all means, several. Yeah, the great white that was caught in preparation for the book and movie Jaws, that was caught off the coast of New York, off the coast of Long Island. I think he weighed 2,300 pounds.
That's not necessarily cold off the coast of Long Island.
No, but you won't see him in the Keys, is what I'm saying. It's mostly northern climes. And when the seals are making their migration in the Arctic regions, that's where most of them end up, the great whites.
Is that what they feed off of, seals?
A great deal, yeah. They have to have a substantial meal, let's say.
Like a seal or a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Care about eating people too.
It's happened a few times, yes, indeed.
Let's say when they had, I don't know what you thought about it, but that Milton Crabapple story about being on the skis. I got a chuckle out of that. I thought that was kind of funny. Somebody had something against him and taking him on the skis, just telling him to hold on and going through different parts.
I knew that there must have been a payoff in that, and he's a great storyteller.
That definitely was. I like that story. I couldn't tell what you thought about it, but I like the story about going the way he was taking him on those skis, going through different.
That's right.
Obstacles. It was a good one.
Yeah, it would
be.
The
one other thing, I wanted to ask about squirrels and trees, but I'm going to ask you about this because I've had a problem with. You talk about Arctic packs. Now, I had those Arctic packs where you put them in, you buy them. These are small ones. You put them in the freezer, and then when like yesterday, I went out to get a tub of ice cream and a dozen eggs. Well, I put 2 of them on the bottom of the cooler, and the ice cream was cold. But the one I put on top with the eggs, it wasn't.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong by how I'm putting these ice packs in the coolers, because sometimes it keeps some things cold, but it doesn't with others. And I'm wondering if
that has most of the time, Richard, that has to do with the cooler, not the Arctic ice pack. The new coolers that are so expensive and that are so good, I put Arctic ice packs in coolers, and in 4 or 5 days it's still frozen. So that most of the time has to do with the cooler, not the ice pack.
Yeah, it's called an Arctic Zone cooler.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that, but it's probably a good one. I don't know.
Well, it's one I got out of Walmart, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And I think I just learned something. I think that the ice packs might be okay. Well, you sort of wonder why, when I had 2 of them under the ice cream, that it kept it cold, but the one I put on top with the eggs did not. Okay, well, what I wanted to ask about, because I saw this, this was last year out at the school, when I heard that there were kids out there. I see the squirrels in the trees, and they come down there, but I was told that those kids are feeding squirrels out of their hands. Is that possible to feed a squirrel out of your hand?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he can be attuned to anything. You could feed a coyote out of your hand. I have people up here in the mountains that live close to me that feed black bears out of their hands. Now, that's not going to turn out very well. So, yes, you can feed squirrels, pigeons, doves, whatever, eventually out of your hands. They'll go for the food.
What kind of nuts do you put in? You mean you just take nuts, put them in the palm of your hand,
yes,
and they'll come down and eat out of it without chewing it off?
Yes. But that up here on the mountains with the black bears, that's not going to turn out very well one day.
Well, not with a black bear, but I mean, I'm thinking even a squirrel.
Certainly.
They got some pretty sharp choppers in their mouth, and you would think that they just take your fingers off.
Absolutely. All right, glad you called, Richard. Have a great weekend, pal. And I'll see you soon. There we go. Now, let's see. It's 31 after the hour. Who's up next? Let's see. It's Sutton from High Falls. Good morning, Sutton. What do you say? How can I help you? Anything?
How you doing, Mr. O'Neill?
I'm doing wonderfully.
I was watching something on my computer the other day on the old fell-off Duck Dynasty. Jace, he was reminding me, in Louisiana, they do a lot of frogging, but I hadn't done it in 30 years. You know, you got to catch them there. You can't use no gig. It's against the law.
Oh.
But here, can you still legally frog gig? It's nothing really in the DNR book that I can tell.
Well, I guess
on it.
I guess you probably can. I don't know. I need to look that up. I need to know that answer because I've done it here in Georgia, but again, a long, long, long time ago.
Yeah, that's me too. Like I grew up there where Henry County and Rockdale come together, Alexander Lakes. You remember that?
Oh, I do. Yes, I've fished there.
Well, it used to be it was private. Now, the state bought it by Panola Mountain State Park.
Uh-huh.
For those type things, I was wondering if you could go frogging in them or over at Charlie Elliott or, different things.
I don't
'Cause I'd
know.
like to try it again.
Yeah, I don't know if the park is open. I guess you probably can, and you're doing some research with the DNR, so what the heck? It sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, so one of them things that we used to do, that and catching the turtles, that nobody hardly does anymore.
Yeah.
But I just was wondering what you know about it, because it was actually kind of fun 35 years ago in Louisiana. I went with my wife's cousin, and I wasn't too much on catching them by hand. You might be grabbing up a copperhead or snake at night, too. But anyhow, that fellow you was talking to about the shark, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was stationed at Coneywood Bay, Hawaii. And people get on them boogie boards out there in the surf, and them sharks would, certain times of the year, thinking you was a sea turtle and eat you up. So, that's about the sharks. But that's all I had for you this morning.
Good. Hey, call back next week. Maybe I'll have an answer about the frog gigging.
All right, so you have a good weekend.
You too, pal. I'll see you soon. There you go. Now let's chat with Hank. Hank the Yank, what do you say?
Who's this? Is this the Bug Man?
Yeah.
I'm calling the wrong show.
Oh, Lord.
How are you, pal?
I'm doing just fine. You going trout fishing this weekend?
I am finishing up self-quarantining this weekend.
Okay.
I am not fishing.
I remember.
I've got till Sunday and then I'm clean as of Sunday. So I'm just doing my part around our community, I haven't gotten it, but I just need to make sure I don't infect anybody just in case.
Nothing wrong with being careful.
So no, I'm just being careful. My wife and I have, it's funny. My wife is upstairs and I'm downstairs, and for her it's been like a vacation. What do you think? I should be insulted by that?
No. Not in your case.
Not in my case. Only because you know me.
That's
too funny. Well, let me tell you what is going on.
Yeah, tell me quickly.
Town.
Yes, please.
There are three great fisheries that you can fish for in Atlanta these days, right now, for the heat of summer. I lay off the stripers this time of year strictly because most of the fish that are caught right now are coming out of 30 feet of water or deeper, and unless you harvest them, they're going to die. They're not going to make it. Correct. They may swim away just fine, but most of them don't survive. So I lay off my beloved stripers this time of year. But one of the great fisheries that's going on right now is a striper fishing below Morgan Falls Dam in the river.
Yeah.
And those are the West Point stripers that make it up, and the fishing over the last 2 weeks has been absolutely phenomenal on the river. From Morgan Falls Dam down, that area. And so that's one area you can certainly go. You got to remember, if you're going to do that, it's no live bait. You are not allowed to fish live bait.
Well, tell me quickly, I'm running out of time, but what's the water temperature coming out of there at Morgan Falls?
The water temp comes out of Buford Dam at about 53, 54, but by the time it gets down to Morgan Falls Dam, it's probably in the mid to upper 60s.
Okay.
So that's and it can go higher. Okay, but when they release from Morgan Falls Dam, that water temp drops down. If they don't have much of a release, obviously in the summer heat, that water temperature rises. So the closer up you're fishing to the dam, the more comfortable the fish are.
Correct.
As opposed to fishing further downriver, down in the Buckhead section. Those fish. That water temp this time of year is awfully warm. So the further up you go, the better off you are.
Okay, we've got 30 seconds. Tell me about trout fishing.
Trout fishing has been really good in the Hooch. The entire stretch of the Hooch below Buford Dam right now, they stocked a few weeks ago, so there's trout throughout the river. Guys are fishing for the wild brown trout as well, throwing streamers. So the fishing is really good. There's actually been some dry fly hatches coming off in the afternoon. You can get blue wing olives. And finally, the carp fishing, down in Bull Sluice above Morgan Falls Dam is still rocking and rolling.
Oh, boy.
And so
I got to go, pal.
That fishery is really good. All right, pal.
Thanks for getting up and giving us a call.
You got it.
You bet. I'll see you soon, and I'll be back with the Medal of Honor. 40 minutes after the hour. It's August the 1st. It's time to start talking about deer hunting. And I'm going to talk now to Mark from Camden County. He goes deer hunting every day that the season is open. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, O'Neill. How you doing? Just about every day.
Yeah, just about. Has the preparation for the deer hunting season already begun for you?
This is my first day. I'm heading up to Hazelhurst to go check all of my stands and go ahead and get my feed station set up and go ahead and put some cameras out.
Okay. It's better now, 30 days ahead, right?
Year, that's right. The most important thing right now, really, to me, is checking those stands.
Mm-hmm.
Check your straps. Check the stability of your stands. Check the load-bearing areas and make sure you're not getting any rust, corrosion. The last thing you want to do is go opening day of bow season to get in one of your ladders and not have checked it, and it no longer be mechanically suitable to hold you up. You might get hurt.
You bet. Yeah, I know.
And,
we all know of several people. That's the most dangerous thing about deer hunting.
That's right. Check everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the time of year to go shake them and climb them and inspect them, and don't forget to inspect your straps too. They wear also.
Sure they do. And then get it all done, then stay out of the woods, right?
Yes, sir, pretty much. The other thing that I do too while I'm up here, I go talk with my local Georgia Forestry Commission guy, and since I stay so busy working this time of year, I set up with them to do a lot of my clearing the fire breaks, and they'll go ahead and do a little bit of plowing and whatnot for you too if you want them to.
Good idea.
Their rates are actually very reasonable, and that's one of the suggestions I wanted to throw out there. If you have property out of town, your local Georgia Forestry Commission folks, a lot of times, are the ones that can help you some. You don't mind paying them, but like I said, their rates are pretty darn reasonable. And I had just about all my mowing and plowing and everything done by them last year. I think it cost me a couple of $100. They had it all done in a day.
That's a bargain.
You got that right. Not bad at all.
That's an absolute bargain. All right, good luck to you today, pal. And
have a good weekend, my friends. Always good talking with you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to call. We always learn something from you or encouraged by something. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling, Mark.
Have a good day.
You bet. There we go. Now, I've got a couple of I want to give you a couple of fishing tips, then we're going to get to the Medal of Honor. But the True Turn tackle tip, I hope I haven't done these before. If I have, then I'm sorry. All right? This is the time of the year where a lot of people will use these big crankbaits for bass. Deep water, 16, 18, 20 feet, using a crankbait. If you'll use a plastic glove on your reel hand, you don't have to grip the reel so hard. You can fish longer without getting tired, and it might mean that you can you'll get it and feel more bites. Use a plastic glove on your left hand. Secondly, if you're fishing for stripers on the surface, or you're fishing for schooling bass, if you'll add a little color to the spoon, whether it's a Sidewinder or a Hopkins or even any kind of spoon like that, if you'll add a little trailer that is the same color as the forage fish, they may get you an extra bite. Local lakes that have blueback herring, it should be something that's blue. If it's strictly threadfin, it should be black and silver. And if you're in lakes that's just brim or some other kind of forage fish, perch, then add some yellow and green to it. You'll get more bites. Let's see, I've got one more. Night fishing in the summertime, which is now. You might be surprised. A spinnerbait is a fabulous nighttime bait over deep water trees. And here's the surprise. Make it a dark colored spinnerbait, because he'll see the reflection. He'll see the silhouette. So you usually hear me say any color spinnerbait is fine as long as it's chartreuse. At night, it should be black or black and red. So right now, the most important, most rewarding part of the program every week, and it is the Medal of Honor tribute.
Honor, courage, and strength of character. These qualities are embodied by the recipients of the Medal of Honor. Now let's recognize this week's Medal of Honor recipient on O'Neill Outside.
Major Bruce Crandall, Vietnam, 1965. Major Crandall's flight of 16 helicopters was lifting troops for a search and destroy mission, and on the fourth troop lift, the air began to take enemy fire, and by the time the aircraft had refueled and returned again for the next troop lift, the enemy had landed and had targeted that helicopter. As Major Crandall and the first 8 helicopters landed to discharge troops on his 5th troop lift, his unarmed helicopter came under such intense enemy fire that the ground commander ordered them to cease the mission. As Major Crandall then determined that the ground personnel needed more ammunition, he took it upon himself, while medical evacuation was not his mission, with complete disregard for his own personal safety, he led 2 aircraft back to the landing zone. He proceeded to supervise the loading of seriously wounded soldiers, and Major Crandall's voluntary decision to land under the most extreme assault instilled in the other pilots the will and spirit to continue to land their own aircraft, and in the ground forces the realization that they would be resupplied and the wounded would be evacuated. Everybody got together. Everybody felt better about it, and so they stuck with it. Now, this enhanced moral morality and the will to fight. They fought firmer and harder and longer. Now, after his first medical evacuation, Major Crandall continued to fly into and out of the landing zone throughout the day and night, and he went in and out 22 times. He risked his life. He provided ammunition and evacuated the wounded. A daring act of bravery and courage in the face of overwhelming enemy odds. Major Crandall is now 87 years old, and he lives in Olympia, Washington. Now that is a hero. Not a baseball player, not the NBA, not the NFL, not a movie star, not a politician, not a rock star. That is a hero. It's 48 after the hour. This is O'Neill. 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. We do this sort of thing every Saturday morning. I hope it's getting to be useful to you, to be encouraged to go hunting and fishing, and the preparation and the small things that we learn from our callers that maybe makes you have more confidence when you fish. Instead of catching 2, you catch 4. Instead of catching 5, you catch 8. Whether it's Richard and his quest for a great white shark, whether it's Henry and fishing below the dam on the Chattahoochee River for stripers. There's so many things to learn, like Milton calling and talking about stand placement so that the prevailing wind is at your advantage instead of your disadvantage. From Mark today, who, here it is, August 1st, and this is his first day of deer hunting preparation. The deer hunting season doesn't start for a couple of months. Those are the things you can learn from the callers on this program, that maybe I can ask the right questions and get those valid answers from them that will help you in the outdoors. And the best call this morning, I've forgotten his name, it was probably Sutton, thanking me for the encouragement of taking his children fishing and how much they enjoyed it. And my comment, I can't help it, I'm a fisherman, I can't stop talking, that they'll remember that the rest of their lives. The trip they took with their father, the trip they took with their grandfather. I know I do. I've spent many a day fishing with my grandfathers, grandmother even, in the mountains of North Georgia, and it didn't matter whether we caught anything or not. We were together. And that can be for you too. If catching one makes you, if it's more rewarding for you to catch a few, by all means. But for a child, for your son, your grandson, granddaughter, it doesn't have to be a world's record largemouth. It doesn't have to be a 20-pound striper. It can be a 2-inch sunfish. It doesn't matter. And it always reminds me, I wish I had come up with this. I didn't. But it reminds me of the most beautiful thing in the world is the hole in the water where the cork used to be. You think about that. Now, one of the things that I had failed to mention today for you, encourage you to do as a favor to O'Neill and as a favor to yourself, go to YouTube O'Neill Outside. YouTube O'Neill Outside. Subscribe and comment on the videos you see there. Like them, don't like them, just comment. Because of the 1st of October, we're going to give away, for those people who have subscribed and liked the videos of O'Neill Outside on YouTube, I've gathered up, we have gathered up quite a list of prizes. Thorogood boots, Arctic Ice freezer packs, True Turn tackle packs, and I'm not talking about 1 or 2, I'm talking about 10. Daiichi tackle packs, Roadrunner lures, Swaggerty's gift baskets with hats and logos and coffee mugs and coupons to use at the grocery store so you can get Swaggerty sausage. Fire Aid personal fire extinguishers, a Furminator hanging judge digital deer scales, $50 coupon gift certificates, so you can go to coupon for Bojangles. Pardon me, I'm running out of time here. Realtree camo jackets and hats, Conus Optics 10x42s, fabulous pair of binoculars. Plain old tackle boxes, CVA 50 caliber muzzleloader, Timbuktu Outdoors cloak and pay dirt, Works Power Tool 40-volt leaf blower, Georgia State Parks gift passes, Big Green Egg charcoal lighters, a free membership in Quality Deer Management Association. It's worthwhile. O'Neill Outside, YouTube. Subscribe and comment, and I'll be back. Okay, 57 after the hour. There's something I wanted to chat about to make your deer hunting more productive, if you will. This week, I was searching around in the freezer for something for a meal, and I located several packages of venison from 2 years ago. And I told Gail, I said, there's some venison in here. We need to, this is some venison tenders. Let's make something special out of this. And she said, be sure and see if it's freezer burned. Always a problem, isn't it? Freezer burned. And venison's wonderful. If you prepare it well, prepare it correctly, it's a wonderful meal. And I've always told you, to me, as a fisherman, hunter, that completes the hunt when you see to it that the meal is used. So my answer to her was, let me look, and I did, and these tenders were not freezer burned. So I thought, I got to tell the radio audience about this coming week. How is that it was managed after 2 years not to be freezer burned? It was vacuum packaged. there was no air against the venison. So it was not freezer burned, and it made for a terrific meal. So take the extra step, if you will, this deer season, when you process your whitetail or quail or whatever it is that you're doing, be sure and take the time, the equipment, or whatever is necessary for you to vacuum package your wild game. And as far as that goes, things that you buy from the store, vacuum package it. Then it will reduce the freezer burn considerably. Well, there's another edition of CVA Radio is History. We appreciate you joining us. We'll be back next week, of course. And allow me the following to dedicate this program to a wonderful man, a friend, and a patriot. His name was Herman Cain. I'll see you next week.
Asked a mighty hunter, coming home from the field, how he came to possess such mighty hunting and fishing skill. He said, "I'll tell you a secret, son. I learned everything I know from listening to O'Neill outside on my radio." O'Neill, O'Neill, O'Neill outside.